Hey guys, my name's Sacyrus. Let's talk about people I don't really like. I think that in the past I've generally been pretty open about people that I'm not very fond of on YouTube or the internet. I've made videos ripping on tons of different people that I don't particularly care for. Andrew Tate, J.K. Rowling, Pokimane, Ludwig, especially Ludwig. But the good thing about all of these people is that for the most part I can choose to avoid them and avoid the people that associate with them. However, there's one exception in this group that I just can't seem to get rid of, and his constant incessant negativity and judgment of people that he deems to be lesser than himself is really starting to piss me off. And no matter how many of his videos I dislike or scroll past, he somehow always manages to reappear in my shorts feed. So I want to make a video about this guy, if for no other reason than to just vent about it. The person I'm talking about goes by the incredibly simple name I am Mike V, all about pressure washing. At first glance, nothing about Mike's channel really seems amiss. Basically, the whole shtick is that he owns a pressure washing business and makes videos about pressure washing. On its own, there's nothing really wrong with all of that. It's pretty common for small business owners to make YouTube channels to make either a little extra money on the side or to just share their thoughts about their profession with the world. Although considering Mike primarily does YouTube shorts, which I can tell you from experience makes absolutely zero meaningful income, I'm sure it's the latter for him. Now, about 95% of the videos on Mike's channel are exactly what you'd expect from a channel called All About Pressure Washing. Here's the chemicals I use to get rid of oil stains. Here's how to remove rust with a pressure washer. Here's how to clean your roof without damaging it. Like I said, what you'd expect, but what I want to focus on is the other 5% of videos. The 1 out of 20, which for some reason makes up basically all of what I see of this guy when I'm scrolling through shorts. I guess the videos on Mike's channel that tend to do the best are the ones where his overinflated ego expands so much that it breaks the YouTube algorithm.
My entire business is structured so we don't deal with time-wasting tire kickers.
Let's start out with a video called Poor People Will Kill Your Business. Really subtle characterization right there, if you couldn't tell. Essentially, what Mike says in this video is that he prices his pressure washing services high so that he mostly gets customers that have a lot of money and are willing to spend more. Now, that on its own isn't exactly wrong. There's plenty of businesses that do this in pretty much every category of service or product ever. It's the same reason why a Ford costs $20,000 and a Ferrari costs $200,000 despite them both being cars, aka the same type of product. They're just appealing to different types of customers, and fundamentally there's nothing wrong with that. But my problem with this video isn't with the fundamentals of what Mike is saying, it's the way that he says it and the way that he frames himself as somehow being better than others. First of all, he refers to these hypothetical poorer customers as quote-unquote time-wasting tire kickers, which is just really professional to refer to people that, even though they may be priced out of hiring you, are still in the market for your services. And it's a great way to let everyone know about your superiority complex on your business-affiliated YouTube channel. I guess he doesn't have the patience to negotiate a deal or be hired by people that are somewhat on the fence about whether they can afford to have a dude in extremely tight gray pants wave a Roomba around on the walkway to their house. He also says that his ideal customer isn't a price shopper and that they don't want the cheapest price, which is an extremely weird thing to say as a business owner who presumably deals with customers every day that are actually humans with brains. If I'm going to hire a service to come and do something for me, why would I not want the cheapest price? I mean, sure, you could argue that Mike perhaps does it better than anyone else, but emphasis on the could there, because he makes absolutely no claim in this video that he does a better job than anyone else or anything like that. Going back to my example with cars, the reason that Ferrari can charge so much more than Ford is because their cars have more power, more luxury, are made of better materials, and so on. Go to any car on the Ferrari website and it will tell you right there why they justify charging so much for one. Yet for some reason, Mike here claims that his service is somehow worth more and doesn't back it up at all. Even better, to round off this absolute mess of a video, he finishes by saying that anyone who disagrees with the statements he makes must also be poor. As you can expect, pretty much all of the comments on this video, some of which have thousands of likes, are overwhelmingly critical of Mike. Now, I want you to answer this one quick question before we move on. This is for all the beans, so really use your head on this one. Does Mike A. respond to these comments in a manner becoming of a professional replying to comments on a business-related social media account, B. argue with the commenters to the best of his ability and try to defend his points by using evidence, or C. resort to childish insults such as "who asked," even on comments that are trying to be fair and give him the benefit of the doubt? The answer is C. To further my point about Mike having some sort of financial related superiority complex, he also just calls people poor in the comments in response to pretty poorly worded but valid criticism. If I'm being honest, it almost seems like he has some sort of need to constantly look down on other people so that he can believe that he's a special little snowflake. You know, like your average middle school bully. To sum up, poor people will ruin your business. For anyone looking for the TLDR, man refuses to work with people that he considers beneath him and then baby rages when people call him out for being a dick. This is fun, let's do another one.
And because I sense you are a little slow, I did put the numbers on the screen for you.
For this one, we're gonna switch it up. I'm gonna play the actual video this time and we'll go through and respond to it bit by bit. Ready? This is, why do you always have problems with customers? Here we go.
How do you consistently have problems with customers? Maybe the problem is you.
That's an interesting point, Mr. Wall Street Bets profile picture. Let's see what our boy Mike V has to say about this.
Intelligence, common sense, and deductive reasoning are gifts that not everybody was blessed with, and for that reason, I'm going to respond to your comment.
You mean your lack of intelligence, common sense, and deductive reasoning, right? Because that comment was actually a pretty good example of all of those things. You keep posting videos about problems and bad interactions you have with customers while doing your power washing business, and since you are the common denominator in all of those interactions, it would be pretty fair to deduce that you are in fact the problem. That is literally some of the most basic reasoning that can be done. That's like high school level stuff right there. But I digress. Let's see what else Mikey has to say.
On average, we service about 7 properties per day. There are about 260 working days per year, which means we interact with just over 1,800 residential customers every year. Throw in the 10 to 12 apartment communities we service annually, and that bumps the number up to about 6,300 people.
6,300 people a year is really not that many. Speaking from personal experience, I worked in a grocery store for a short amount of time last year, and we would see maybe around 6,300 people come and go in a week. I rarely ever had any problems with customers, and I can confidently say the same for my coworkers. We would get maybe one person that would cause some havoc every week or two, but considering how many people came and went from the store daily, that isn't really very many. I concede that perhaps bagging groceries and helping people find cake mix may not be as personal as washing their houses, but the sheer number of bad customers that this guy talks about is still pretty interesting, especially considering the lack of stories that he has about pressure washing jobs that don't have customer problems. Although again, I digress. Please continue.
I've been in business for over 21 years, and because I sense you are a little slow...
Oh look, another childish insult over valid criticism.
I did put the numbers on the screen for you.
Well, thank you. It certainly makes disproving all of your points much easier.
So that's over 130,000 customers in that time frame.
Assuming that all of those people were completely different people with separate properties, which I can guarantee is massively not true.
And you've watched about 10 30-second videos that are here to both entertain and educate.
Okay, but you're the one uploading the videos, so how is this guy supposed to know what the real ratio of normal to bad customer interactions are if you're only ever uploading the bad ones? I get why you would want to do that. Obviously, the customer interactions that go wrong are much more interesting to make videos about, but you're basically fudging the numbers yourself and then blaming someone else for getting the numbers wrong. You could just as easily have said something like, "Hello, Mr. Commenter, I understand why you would think that considering the kind of content I upload, but I tend to only make videos about the customer interactions that go wrong because they're more entertaining to talk about. I can assure you that 99% of the people I talk to while pressure washing are perfectly normal and have no problems whatsoever. It just doesn't appear that way on YouTube because no one would want to watch a video about a completely normal day where nothing goes wrong, without being a massive condescending prick."
I know math is hard, but statistically speaking, I probably have the best customer service in the entire world.
And back to childish insults. This video isn't actually one of the ones that the algorithm picked up, interestingly enough, so pretty much all of the comments under this one are just his fans egging him on, and not the opinions of an actual randomly selected group of people from the internet, so I won't go over them, but there's a few people that are on the right path.
I might start having to smoke crack just so I can try to understand what the f you were trying to say.
Finally, I want to cover an argument with not just one video, but two. Before I show these, however, I need to give a bit of context. Lawn care, landscaping, basic construction, and other such labor-related jobs are often the best option for people who are recovering either from time spent in jail or from some sort of drug addiction to find a new path in life and get a low-paying but stable job. It's a result of these jobs being ones that can be done by someone with relatively little training and who just needs a steady source of income some to get them back on their feet. One of these jobs that sees a higher than average amount of recovering addicts, as you may have guessed, is pressure washing, because let's be honest, operating a pressure washer isn't exactly rocket science. This is, for whatever reason, a fact that our good boy Mike V seems to absolutely resent, as he has made multiple videos not only denouncing the hiring of drug users, but as usual, also openly mocking people who disagree with him. In one video, colorfully titled "I hired a meth head," Mike responds to a commenter saying that they hired a meth addict and that they do a very good job by essentially telling them that said addict would be nothing but problems for their business, and saying that they would sell their equipment for money, be an issue around customers, and even tells the commenter to check if the catalytic converter on their work truck is still there. I don't have to criticize Mike for this one, because the comment section on this video did it for me, and this is all made even more ironic considering that just 2 videos earlier, Mike jokes that he doesn't drug test his employees so that, get this, he doesn't have to pay their workers' comp if they get injured. This is, of course, a joke and Mike isn't being serious, but I'm just saying if I was working for this guy and I saw this video, I would think twice about my current employment situation. In another video titled "Why I Don't Hire Crackheads," a user named A Forest is Dark comments, "I have seen a lot of crackheads doing pressure washing jobs. My city is filled with them, some even up with their own pressure washing businesses." As you can imagine, Mike, instead of actually responding to this comment with his apparently sacred intelligence, common sense, and deductive reasoning, spends about 2/3 of this video insulting the commenter's spelling and grammar with a chain of sentences that contains, hilariously, multiple grammatical errors. He then spends the remaining third of the video talking about how crackheads aren't good business people or business owners. What he's saying isn't entirely wrong, but the way in which he says it is extremely condescending and shows how much of a snot-nosed brat this guy is. The guy who made the comment that sparked this video in the first place wasn't even being particularly rude. He was just making a simple statement that contradicted Mike's personal beliefs, and Mike's response was to spend the majority of this video making fun of him and calling him chemically impaired. I think I should mention that the meaning of these videos changes a little bit depending on whether these people are talking about recovering addicts or active drug users, and to be honest, it's a little hard to tell. But either way, both of these shorts are yet even more examples of Mike's overinflated ego. It's almost like he can't help being negative, and to be honest, he's probably realized that the videos where he makes inflammatory statements are the ones that get the most views, which is even more motivation for him to be an asshole to random people that are giving him valid criticism or even just saying something that he disagrees with. I did not mean for this video to be as long as it turned out. This was originally supposed to be a 5 or 6 minute rant about some random guy on YouTube Shorts that kind of annoyed me, but as my notes about I am Mike V all about pressure washing got longer and longer, so did the list of videos on his channel I encountered that display his condescending, entitled, and unprofessional behavior. I don't think I need to say this, but don't harass anyone mentioned in this video. I think that should be pretty obvious, but everyone that makes long-form videos about other content creators puts that warning in at some point, so I will too. I hope you all liked this video. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.